Begin transmission. Hello, everybody. Is Milton and I, Chris, aka Starrapter, back for another Star Wars discussion on the Outer Rim Transmission podcast. This is episode number 87. It's a bit of a slow news week. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit of a slow news week. As you would expect, we are getting into the holiday season here with just another week and a half so left of 2022. It's going to be a big 2023, but there are still a couple news stories to talk about. But right off the top, we had a little bit of a tease last week on Our Week in Star Wars with Milton talking about his friend he's introducing to the good old galaxy far, far away. And you had left us off saying you're going to introduce this person to Return of the Jedi. So how did it go?
It went well. Thanks for having me on the podcast, first and foremost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it went well. So we finally were able to get to Return of the Jedi. And I will say how we did it to recap her on like the episode, or that particular episode. We went back and watched the last 30 minutes of Empire so she didn't forget like what happened. So we finished Empire. She really enjoyed that one. I will say she loves Chewie and Han Solo for sure, like without question. So we get into Jedi. I don't really think she liked that one as much as Empire. Not saying she thought the movie was bad. She actually liked the film, but she liked Empire, I think, significantly better because I think the characters. She didn't like Jabba the Hutt. I'll tell you that right now. She thought Jabba the Hutt was disgusting. She didn't like that. She didn't like not Masameda. Who's his henchman? I forget his name. With Jabba. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna. Yeah, she didn't like him. She at first she didn't like the Rancor scene. Like she thought it was like a little too much. It was like because this movie like in the beginning of it, and then even watching it again with her, Return of the Jedi, the first 30 minutes is a very dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she wasn't really feeling that as much. But as the movie went on, she liked it. At first, I said, "Hey, I think you're gonna like the little cute animals you're gonna see later." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" She wound up liking the Ewoks. They weren't her favorite, but she saw the appeal. Overall, she thought the movie was good, but I think she really enjoyed Empire better.
All right. Yeah, I mean that's always a big contention. Oh, Return of the Jedi or Empire Strikes Back. I'm Return of the Strikes. Gosh, I was trying to meld two movies right there for a minute. Return of the Jedi guy all around. But, Return of the Jedi definitely has a different structure, as you mentioned. Like, the first 30 minutes is a completely different film than the rest of it, right? Everybody's together, which is nice. And you get to see just the mafioso side of the Star Wars galaxy with Jabba the Hutt. And that high action adventure that we all expect. The sail barge scene is one of the greatest sequences in all of Star Wars. Just the overall pulpiness to it and just the swashbuckling shenanigans that happen there is fantastic. And then it gets into the father-son dynamic that we left off with Empire. So there's a lot to love there. As you said, there's some cool critters in there, and that's cool. With her, really, it seems like Han Solo is probably her favorite character then, because I think you said that she really liked the character in the previous movie.
Solo. Well, she actually, so I'll give her credit. So she did call. So when when Leia went to go save him out of the Jabba's palace, she was like, "Oh, she's like that's Leia. That has to be, And I was like, "No, that's not Leia." I'm like, "Just watch the movie." And she's like, "No, I think that's her." And then, when she had the reveal, she looked at me. She's like, "I knew it." And then she liked. So when the reveal of Luke and Leia being siblings from Obi-Wan. She questioned that. She's like, wait. She's like, wait a minute. I thought they had different parents or something like that. I'm like, well, do you want to watch the third movie, Revenge of the Sith? And she's like, she's not sure if she wants to watch that yet because she just she agreed to just do the original trilogy. I now have to convince her either watch Revenge of the Sith or Rogue One potentially, to understand where Luke and Leia came from, their parents, that type of thing. So.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting to be like, okay, here's the three movies. What's next? You can go one direction or you can go the other direction. You could be like, hey, you want to see what happens after? You can
Yeah, I doubt that. For now. We may not go forward for a while.
What about the Mandalorian though? I mean, everybody
Well, so that's
loves
the
the
thing. Though. I
Mandalorian.
have to. Well, I was trying to explain to her about like there's different shows. But again, I have to convince her to watch another property. So I have to like if I convince her, it has to be the right thing.
Hmm.
I mean, I think my impressions of what she likes about Star Wars is like there's more character than what she thought it would be. She thought it would just be like space battles, shooting lightsabers, whatever. But the overall story, I think, impressed her because she's like, oh, there's a lot more story. I was like, yes, very much so. I really think
Yeah.
how Empire developed really like put her on her, thinking like, oh, this is like really good storytelling. So
Hmm.
no, I think she likes the property because she knows I like it. But
Oh yeah.
again, we'll see. We'll see. I'll try to convince her to watch the prequels.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's funny because you mentioned like how Star Wars to her is a lot deeper than she would expect, and that's actually our discussion topic for tonight. We're gonna get into this whole thing with Andor getting an award for or nominated for awards for acting, which we haven't seen since 1977. So our big discussion tonight is talking about Star Wars at a prestige level to what Andor was able to pull off, to see the recognition that show is getting, to see maybe we're going to get another like deeper kind of Star Wars in the future and see all that. So stay tuned. We're going to get into that in the second half of the show. But first of all, I got to talk about my week in Star Wars. And, well, it was very similar to last week. I guess I think I mentioned gaming or something last week. Yeah, with Fortnite. And I jumped back into this stupid little mobile game. I'm not going to really play it, but I got a new phone. And as a tech guy, I like to always test my hardware. So I was like, oh, let me throw a couple games on this new phone, Google Pixel 7, see how this tensor processor works. And I threw on Diablo Immortal. I threw on this and that. And I threw on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, which is that really big cash grab game, if I'm not gonna lie. It's just like, oh my gosh, there's these people spending like hundreds of dollars on these characters. But yeah, I jumped in that a little bit and realized, oh yeah, this is a time sink or a money sink or both. So it's still cool to see all the characters they have in that game because I started playing it when it first came out. You know.
Yes, that's the thing. I actually still have it on my phone. No, I've been playing it for years.
Oh,
Like
oh
I
wait, you
legit,
play it?
I do play it.
Oh
I don't.
shoot!
I think I
All right,
never
we
told
gotta
you guys
talk
that.
about
So I
this.
have it like it's right there, as you guys can see
Oh
it.
shoot!
Yeah, it's right there. Um, and I have like I've been playing it. It's been I guess it's been 3-4 years I guess since it came out, but I have like a lot of characters unlocked in here. I mean, legit. Like I play this every day. At
Oh
least
my
like at least
gosh,
20 minutes.
we're
But
having.
I did about a good 20 minutes I play. Just because it's like, all right, well, I'll just do what I can and move forward.
All right, this is a big revelation here on the podcast because I know Milton's usually playing the older games, but I had no idea you were playing a contemporary game. So,
Yeah, I listen. At first, I wasn't sure. I was thinking, oh man, this. You're right, cash grab. I've only spent money twice on this.
oh, okay.
Twice because I was like, oh, I want to get this character. I'm looking to try to get these extra like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I've pretty much unlocked a lot of good characters. Like now, I don't have the. I still need to get Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. Like I'm close. I need to get General Anakin Skywalker. Like I'm close to getting them, but like I just figure I'm gonna just put the time in and play like every like day for like 30 minutes and I'm done.
Yeah, yeah. Because what it
So
is like every week, like or almost every week, I'm watching the Star Wars show, like news show, where they talk about everything coming out that week. And half the time they're talking about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. They're like, "Ooh, the second sister's in the game," or "Ooh, Black Chrysanthemum's in the game," and I just disregard. I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. That's the game I don't play." And then I was like,
all right.
and then I got into the game again after years, or at least looked at the game. I'm like, "Holy crap! They have." So many characters since I played when it first came out in like 2016 or whatever that was. So
All right, yeah, because I have Dash Rendar. Like I
I just
unlocked
got him.
him. Yeah, it's who else I got? Dash Rendar. I got Mara Jade. Got all the yeah, I got Hondo Anaka. I got anyone you can think of. Like I said, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have like I said, I don't have General Skywalker. I'm about to get Mandalorian like Beskar armor one.
Mm.
I don't have Darth Malik. Pretty much all like the legend like Jedi Master
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker. Like I don't have him yet. Lord Vader. They're just hard to get.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to spend money like that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, no, no. So you say you play like 20 minutes a day. So like for our audience out there that might play the game or might wanted to get in the game, what activities do you do in 20 minutes? What are your go-to things that I should be doing coming back to this game every day?
I mean, usually because I've unlocked a lot of it, so I
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of like the simulation. Like it's just they'll say like instead of like playing each one because I've
Yeah.
beaten literally every lightsaber battle or dark side battle,
Huh.
light side battle. I now can just simulate it. I just like hit simulate and get like
Oh,
15 battles done. But you're collecting a lot of like items, that
yeah.
type of thing. I'll do like the guilds, so you can like then go and like fight in the little guilds to get
Okay.
extra like special items. So I'll do stuff like that, or I'll do like the little challenges that they have in there. So yeah, stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, and
Yeah.
what characters or character that is not in the game that you want to see come into the game? Like what are some examples you want to see?
Well, right now they have right now. So thus far in like tier 4, they have Doctor Afra, Star Killer, and the
Ooh.
Grand Inquisitor. Like you have to unlock those eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they got those in there. I don't know which character I would want in there now, because I feel like we gotten everybody. I have to think of a Legends character. Oh, I'm not sure. Is Darth Bane in here?
No.
I don't think he. Yeah, I don't think he is. Darth Bane's
Ooh.
not in here. I'm kind of surprised because he is
That's
canon now. So,
yeah, it's like
but
and
you know
it's
what?
funny because like what would he
So
look like, in the game?
yeah, I want Plagueis. So Plagueis would have to be one of those legends.
Uh
Yeah, give me Plagueis.
I think we'll have to wait for the acolyte to come out, and they'll have like the
Yeah,
canon depiction of this Mune or whatever the hell species he's gonna end up being. Oh man, I was playing this game. I was like, they got to start cashing in on the High Republic. I want to see Stellan Geos. I want to see Martian Rowe. I want to see Lorna D. I want to see all these different characters, these different droids. Give me Geo. Just give me a big ass rock slab that just sits there. Like, give me some of
right.
these characters that I would just freaking laugh my ass off on. Or give us more Andor characters. Do they have really Andor characters like some of the newer people, like Deidre or anybody like that in there?
No, no one's on there from for Andor,
Oh.
which I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll add them later. And that's what they normally do. Like they'll add like they added what's her name's girl. Oh my goodness. Uh, Lando Calrissian's like girlfriend or
Oh wait,
something.
Son of Staros.
Yeah, she's in this now.
Yeah, I seen that. I
Yeah,
got her already.
I just unlocked her.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean,
yeah, the deal with Son, I love how they're adding the comic book characters. Like I added in 000 and BT in there, and they
uh,
are fantastic as like the comic book characters coming to life. Seeing BT just like doing the spins with the flamethrowers and the rockets going everywhere.
right.
But yeah, Son of
Yeah, it's
Staros.
dope. It's dope.
Yeah, she was like she's a smuggler out there that was planning a job with Han, and they had to go undercover, and she pretended to be his wife. And that was the big
Yeah,
thing in the comic books when like the comics everybody was really paying attention to him. It was like, oh my God, these comics are like breaking new ground that we never even knew that Han had a wife before, and then it turns out that it was just a scam that they were pulling and all
right.
this crap. But
Yeah.
yeah, she's still
No,
around.
it's cool.
Yeah, so there you go. There's our Star Wars gaming talk, and it's not going to be the only Star Wars gaming talk, but I'll get to that in a minute. But first, if you are a new listener, we also go live on YouTube every Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern, youtube.com/Starrapter. You can find our channel, our videos go live there, and you can always participate in the chat room live, and you can always listen to us on any of your podcast apps of choice. Just look for Outer Rim Transmission. So as I mentioned off the top, we're going to slide right into Out This Week and keeping a theme to the video games right now. We have a brand new update in Star Wars The Old Republic, the 10-year-old MMO that you can play on the PC for free. Actually, you can just jump in and play the entire game for free, and it's an older game, so most PCs, any PC you buy now can easily handle. We'll put it that way. But yeah, this expansion, or it's almost an expansion. It's a large update, and this one is called Showdown on Runic, and it's all about Mandalorians. So this is an entire Mandalorian themed update, where it's like the Mandalorian Wars and Star Wars Legends. Basically, it's like you got this one character, Shay Vizsla, who is an ancestor to Pre-Vizsla from the Clone Wars, right? That same kind of family. She's going after this other like person that is like broken off from her clan, and there's all these different clan wars going on. But it's there's cinematics in there where they're both fighting with like Beskar knives, and they're using their jet packs, they're using jet boots, they're using every tool in their arsenal to like take each other out. It's really fun. It's really cool. They basically have a whole new planet that you explore to Star Wars called Runic, which is like this planet that has been used up like strip mines. So like the outer atmosphere is just like completely polluted and everything else. So once you beat the story, there's a couple missions and it opens up like a daily hub area where you can like do repeatable missions every day to get, your resources and stuff like that. So yeah, if you haven't jumped into the Old Republic in a while, now's a good time because there's plenty of new content. They revamped the PvP, how that works with the arenas and with the other things, the war zones and all. So yeah, I definitely say if you haven't played, go check it out. As far as publishing is concerned, we have a couple new releases. We have The Mandalorian adaptation. This is the adaptation for episode 6 of the season 1 series with the prisoner, where they're trying to go on that ship of the New Republic and free that Twi'lek. But we also have Bounty Hunters issue number 29, which is an original story that came out this week. And it's another good one there because it has Byler Valence's crew that is being commanded by Darth Vader to attack these Crimson Dawn people. And then the Crimson Dawn people are commanded by Tonga, which has a team of Bosk and Zuckuss and 4LM. And then there's even a nice little interlude, if you will, of IG-88 just tearing people to shreds in the most spectacular function. He's giving the people a chance to surrender for about 30 seconds. And when they start shooting at them, they're absolutely destroyed. And one of them tries to surrender, and he just straight up says, hey, that surrender call has expired. And then he just kills the guy. And it's like, damn. But, this is the Legends type of IG-88 that I've been wanting to see in canon for a while. And we have seen bits of that in some of the other comics, but it looks like he's going to be more of a reoccurring role in the current stuff that's happening over there in between Empire and Return of the Jedi happening. So, have you always enjoyed the character of IG-88? Like, out of all the bounty hunters, Milton, in Empire Strikes Back, like, which one stood out to you besides Boba Fett?
Looking at that scene in particular, who's the big one? He's the big fat one with like the short
Dengar.
arms. Yes, like I've always been curious about him. When I was a kid, I had a Bosk.
This guy right here, right?
Yes, that's the one.
Love this guy.
Yeah. And then I know when I was a kid, I know I had a Bosk action figure. I'm sure it's somewhere at my mom's house. Lost. I know I think she still has my Luke Skywalker, the Hoth version of him. Yeah, like it's that bounty hunter always stood out to me. IG-88. I mean, he's a badass. I mean, he's supposed to be. I know, like that's how they built him up in the comics. We didn't really get to see him in live action because I think the technology at the time couldn't make him look that good. But yeah, in the comics, we know what he's all about. He's a Terminator, pretty much.
Oh yeah, he's like the best example of a bounty hunter because he has no conscience. He's a robot, and he just mission after mission. Like even in his comic book issue, he's like, okay, mission number 354 accepted. Now I have to go kill General Vakora. It's like this is just another number for him. He doesn't have like we see in The Mandalorian, right? It's like season 1 episode 3 he's going to Navarro and he's brings Grogu back, and then he's like, what's gonna happen with him? And he's like, you're not supposed to ask any questions in the guild. What's up with you, man? So like that's how the whole story starts in The Mandalorian, having a conscience and standing up for what you feel is right.
Yeah, no, I agree. So it's I like him. I like to see him more in live action and just see what he's all about. So
heck yeah. So moving into our first story of the night, we have an update on Rogue Squadron. Yes, that movie that we all pretty much thought was a done deal at this point of not happening. There's been an update from Patty Jenkins's own Twitter she put out a statement which basically told everybody that she is not working on Wonder Woman 3. If you haven't been paying attention, everybody out there, we have a whole shake-up with the leadership over at the DC universe. We have James Gunn now, who is like the Paul Feige or Kevin Feige of the DC. He's the one in charge, and he also has his right-hand man, Peter Safran there. And they are deciding, and this also happens with Henry Cavill, everybody's getting wiped. They're starting from point zero, and starting this whole thing. So that means that Patty Jenkins is no longer working on Wonder Woman 3, and now she has more time to basically work on Rogue Squadron. I'm going to try to read a passage here about what exactly she says as far as Rogue Squadron. Okay, so I'll read this. Okay. I originally left Rogue Squadron after a long and productive development process when it became clear it couldn't happen soon enough, and I did not want to delay Wonder Woman 3 any longer. When I did, Lucasfilm asked me to consider coming back to Rogue Squadron after Wonder Woman 3, which I was honored to do, so I agreed. They made a new deal with me. In fact, I'm still on it, and that project has been in active development ever since. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but we never do until the development process is complete, but I look forward to its potential ahead. So there you go. I mean, they say it's in active development, so I mean, that could be anything from hashing out just the general story to maybe making concept art, stuff like that. So, it's also one of those things where it's like, yeah, of course, you've had other occurrences of other directors saying that their projects are still being worked on, aka Rian Johnson. That trilogy was never debunked, and every time he's asked, he's like, yeah, I'm still looking forward to doing it. But it's like, well, they can keep saying that until the end of time, and it'll never happen or whatever, So thoughts on this, Milton? Do you think she's being pretty genuine? Do you think we could see Rogue Squadron? Let's put it this way, man. Do you think we'll see Rogue Squadron in the next 5 years? Like, we'll be sitting in the seats watching this movie.
I want to say yes. I want to.
Yep.
I do like Patty Jenkins as a director. I mean, I love the first Wonder Woman. I thought Wonder Woman 2 was okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't trash, but it wasn't as good as the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And before I even get to further this question, like, look, the whole stuff with DC. I know this is not a DC podcast, but all that's been going on with Henry Cavill no longer being Superman and Patty Jenkins no longer coming back to do Wonder Woman 3, and it clearly is going to be most likely a reboot of the whole property. And I just want to, I guess, address the fandom because this kind of ties into it. I've been seeing a lot of people emotional about that, and I get it. But listen, we went through this with Star Wars. When Star Wars is going through a transition, so let it play out. Hopefully Peter Gunn and old boy Safin can get this figured out. But to answer your question about Patty Jenkins, I would want to say yes. Mm-hmm. However, I feel like the last 48 hours, there's been a lot of drama with her, whether it's her not coming back to Wonder Woman 3 or the questions of her coming back for Rogue One. I don't know. I could see them coming back and doing this movie without her. But I think we need more female directors in Star Wars. We don't really have many. So, and she's a really good storyteller. So I say yes. I would say if I put a number on it, 65% yes. It's going to be happening within the next 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a lot of variables right now, right? I mean, you got the big shakeup at Disney itself with the CEO of Bob Chapek leaving and Bob Iger coming back. We know how much Bob Iger loves to have Star Wars movies into theaters at all times because that's what happened when he was there, right? We got like 5 movies in less than 5 years, right, or whatever. So there's that precedent that's already been set. We keep getting all these rumblings. About the one guy that was from the show Lost and Watchmen. I think his name's like David Lindelof. Like he's writing this movie that he's gonna have the director from a lot of the Ms. Marvel episodes. She's gonna be directing this movie supposedly. So there's that project, and I feel like there's like 2 or 3 projects that haven't been confirmed because Lucasfilm at this point has been told like don't announce anything until you're like on set directing this crap because we can't have,
Oh,
you know.
I think that comes back to like the lack of planning, if there even is a plan. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade again about what happened previously, but that was something that was been an issue with Lucasfilm previously. I mean, look at how they look at the sequel trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Like yes, they had a plan to do a trilogy of films. There wasn't no clear plan of like direction. And I mean, Daisy pretty much confirmed that about Rise of Skywalker. She's like, they were rewriting that movie when we were filming it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, it's crazy. And even looking at how Solo played out. The plan wasn't clearly there. So I think honestly, I think now that Bob Iger's back in the chair, hopefully he comes back and says, "Listen, let's go back to the drawing board. Yes, let's focus on doing a trilogy of movies about let's say 8 or episode
Mm-hmm.
10, 11, 12. Let's get that out there. But also let's do another set of films about expanding the universe further, whatever they decide to do. But at least come up with like a 10-year plan of what you're going to do for your next 5 to 6 movies. Pretty much
Yeah.
what DC's doing now.
Yeah.
Like get a 5 to 10 year plan. Because the problem that I keep seeing is that a lot of these IPs and franchises want to be Marvel right away. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot do what Marvel did in 3 years. It took them, was it from 2008 to 2012 to do Phase One, and that was a great phase. It took them another 3 to 4 years to
Oh
do
yeah.
Phase Two. It took them another 2 to 3 years to do Phase Three. That's a 10-year window of 22 movies
Mm-hmm.
of a cinematic saga. And I feel like everyone wants to just jump on that train and get on it fast. It's like, take your time,
Yeah.
tell a great story,
Mm-hmm.
build upon that to get to your next phase. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like Star Wars got caught up with that. They try to I think try to jump the gun. So
Yeah.
again, to go back to your original question, do I see it working out for Patty Jenkins? Yes, about 65%. Do I want the movie to happen? Absolutely. I love her as a director, and I want to see a different take on Star Wars in the sense of let's not focus on Sith and Jedi in the sense
Yeah.
of like let's focus on more militaristic rebellion type stuff. Yes, we got that in Andor and in Rogue One. Let's see like a Top Gun type of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what we need is that diversity. The thing I will back up for a second. The thing that did work out so far is it didn't work on the movie front a whole lot, but I will say what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have done with the Mandalorian, they've basically like made the MCU connective tissue on the Disney Plus front. So it's
Yes.
like you got to get somebody in charge of the movies to the degree that Favreau and Filoni are with the series, because it's been proven they could do it with the series. Why can't you do it with the movies?
Well, here's the thing. Look at it though too. It's two men. It's two men, or could have been two women. Doesn't matter. But I'm saying these two men work together from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Like they said, this is going to be our plan. This is what this show is all about, and we know we're going to take it. You can clearly see they have one unified vision. I think that should work out. Hopefully for DC in their own, and we can do that for another day. Hopefully that works out for them. And then look at Feige, how he ran Marvel. Look at the
Mm-hmm.
original. People forget Feige had a lot of issues originally when he first got to
Okay.
Marvel. When he had that Pearl Mutter guy was
Oh,
calling the shots.
I don't know.
Remember all the stuff. Remember what was the show? Agents of
Oh,
Shield.
Agents of Shield, Jeff Loeb.
Oh, yes, Jeff Loeb and Pearl Mutter. Those guys that were supposed to be tied into the movies, but eventually that went out the window
Mm-mm.
because Feige's like, no, does not work for our property. So they had to figure that out, and I'm glad that they did. I'm hoping Star Wars is the same thing, saying, listen, this is our one unified direction. This is what's best for the storytelling. This was going to be best for the long-term
Yeah.
longevity of Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. One final nail to put into this pin to put in this topic here is it just so happened that I was a guest on my buddy Steven Schinder, who was a guest on the show at one point. He's the owner of Delayed Replay podcasts, and they are basically he's got this really cool idea where we basically do like improv of a series or a movie that was supposed to come out that didn't come out on time because of COVID. Like this crazy, really cool, creative idea he has. So the other night we had just done the Rogue Squadron episode. On Monday night we recorded that. It should be out, I think he said this weekend or something. I'll let everybody know when it's out. And as soon as we sat down to record, that's when this tweet went out with Patty Jenkins, where it's basically, oh yeah, Rogue Squadron's coming out still eventually. It's like, so that was funny. So yeah, if you want to know what an alternate universe of Rogue Squadron could be, I think we did a pretty good job, me and him, like actually hashing out a pretty good story for what a potential Rogue Squadron movie could be. So it's definitely an entertaining listen for about an hour or so. We were just spitballing and hopefully making it seem like we really were reviewing that movie that never came out. So yeah, there goes delayed replay. I'll let you guys know when that goes up on all my social media platforms.
Right. Do you remember the like? Because this is why I'm excited for like that Rogue Squadron movie to even happen. Because one, the video game was fire
Oh yeah.
back in the day, the 64. Like, do you remember that short anime that someone made, like, what was it, like 10 or 7 years ago, called like
Oh
TIE
yeah.
Fighter? Like,
Yeah.
the animated it on YouTube. So like that's what I envision that movie being like, just the perspective of like whether it's a TIE Fighter pilot or X-Wing
Mm-hmm.
Rebellion pilot, whatever. Just seeing that story and just know, like, pretty much tell me a big Dark Lighter story was at one point, or what's her name, Wedge. Like seeing those guys' perspective. Like, yes, tell that type of story.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at Lost Stars, because there aren't they pilots
Oh.
in
Yeah, they
that book.
are. Yeah, Thane Kyrell and whoever the other girl is. Yeah.
Yeah, so like look at Lost Stars, and that book's well received. You can tell the story, like, obviously not that exact one, but take some of that storytelling, put it in the Rogue Squadron.
Yeah,
Like, it
yeah.
works.
I would love to see like a perspective of a TIE fighter pilot because we get so much from the Rebellion and the X-Wings, but to see like the fragility of the Empire and how they run their ship with like basically making their pilots all numbers. Like, yeah, you guys are gonna die. Like, you have absolutely no defense in your ships. We're just, mass producing them on the assembly line. Hey, you want off your planet that's full of crime? All right, we'll give you a job. You probably won't live, but it'll get you out of the situation that you find crappy in your life right now. And so as I could see like
Right.
that whole thing, and then cross cutting to the rebellion and having like the complete opposite of like these people that are just fighting for hope, and then the empire's just fighting for just survival. And I could see them really like, if they got some good writers on board, they could really give us a perspective change we haven't seen with like, oh yeah, now we'll never look at TIE fighters the same way again, kind of thing.
Right. No, I agree 100%. Like, you won't get an argument from me.
So, getting into our next story, which will then jump us and segue us into our main discussion topic for the night, is we got word that Diego Luna has been nominated for Best Performance by an Actor for a television series for the Golden Globes, which is going to be happening next year. So, I had to do my homework and look to see because up until now, it's literally not been since the original Star Wars since an actor has been nominated for an acting accolade for any kind of higher tier prestige kind of like award show. Ever since Sir Alec Guinness, he was the one that was nominated. So this is huge. I mean, we always hear Star Wars every year, and it's fantastic. Like, their technical awards, they're on like everything, editing, sound editing. I wish they could get music more. They haven't gotten that in a while, but they
Yeah,
usually
that's
get
a
all the.
travesty.
Yeah, yeah, visual effects. Of course, they're always pushing the boundaries for that. But this is kind of a milestone that kind of opens up things, and you know, like the title of this says, has Andor added more prestige to Star Wars, right? It's like this is coming from a Star Wars podcaster, but so take this, Star Wars. Most of the people think of it as the high flying action adventure story that has a lot of heart, right? Like, you have that, but like, you don't ever expect Star Wars, right, to win like picture of the year, right? It's not like those echelons of movies that are more like focused on doing that thing. But I will be honest, like, Andor has been, I would say, like the closest for getting to that point where people are like looking past it as like changing the paradigm of it, changing the mindset of like, oh, Star Wars is not just dumb fun sometimes. Like, it could be maybe more than that. It could make more deeper and more perspective and more of art form, right? So my whole thing with this is just like getting into the weeds of like, hey, can Star Wars now has Andor set the precedent for other future Star Wars projects, whether it be series or movies, to really bring in some A-level talent to kind of make it their own? Because I think up until now, Star Wars has been playing it safe relatively. That's why I like Andor so much. They've been playing it safe. They've been kind of reusing the same things that have been happening in other Star Wars films and other things that have influenced Star Wars. Like, how many times are we going back to Kurosawa? How many times are we going back to just those other big sci-fi Flash Gordon influences? And I feel like Andor has been one of the first things that has started to pull from our own current timeline, which is something that George Lucas did in the original trilogy, making conversations based on what is happening right now. So I'll just open it up to you, Milton, about just like, hey, do you agree with like just the direction of like, oh yeah, just first like talk about, hey, how Star Wars is finally getting an actor nomination, and
Right.
we'll talk about that first, I guess, because that
Yeah.
was just cool in its own right.
No, I think that's good. I mean, look at how many Marvel films have gotten like best nominated for pictures or actors. I think didn't Chadwick Boseman or no Black Panther got it nominated for best picture that year. I think when it
Yep.
came out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like that, which is fine. I mean, look, I'm sure Harry Potter gotten some awards or some nominations. I mean, you're right about the music for Star Wars. That's a travesty that doesn't get nominated more because John Williams is legendary. I think he won an Oscar for the original trilogy, I think, or something. Maybe Jaws. I don't remember, but um, yeah, I think this is a good thing that Star Wars is getting that look when it comes to prestige, whether it's Emmys, Tony
Mm-hmm.
or not Tonys, Emmys or Oscars, whatever is decided. Because Diego Luna is a character actor.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in other things besides Star Wars and people. I mean, look at who played Poe Dameron,
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. He's a character actor. He's been in a multitude of things.
Oh
He,
yeah.
he's he's the type of actor that could be nominated for anything. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, Sam Jackson's been in Star Wars. He's a great actor. He's been nominated for stuff. So there are types of actors that can transition from from independent over to mainstream and make this work and get that prestige that Star Wars should. I mean, especially with the technological boundaries being pushed,
Mm-hmm.
like it's still a travesty that the Phantom Menace lost to the Matrix in 1999
Oh really?
for visual. Yeah, they did for visual
Oh
effects.
shoot.
And don't get me wrong, The Matrix is a great film, and that
Oh
pushed the movie speed. But the
man.
difference was, Matrix was shot very dark, so you can hide a lot of the mistakes, a lot of like things that were.
Yeah.
It's easier for that film to be successful that way. Star Wars is well lit, right? You clearly see the visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it's great that that Diego Luna got nominated. Like that's awesome. He deserves it. I think what helps is that Tony Gilroy was a great writer of the show, and
Mm-hmm.
he wrote some really good material. He made it very modern. I
Yeah.
think that's what helped get that nomination.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta shout out the other candidates, the nominees in this category for best performance of an actor in a television series. We have Jeff Bridges for The Old Man. We have Kevin Costner for Yellowstone. We have Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul. We have Adam Scott for Severance, and Diego Luna for Andor's in that list. Like, that just goes to show you like the power of like how far Star Wars has come. Like, you're right. Like, it's not just the actor, it's the writing, because it's the actor that's, transcribing that and basically putting their own spin on that and delivering that dialogue that's written. But holy crap, like these are A level. I watched, Bob Odenkirk in Better Call Saul, and for Diego Luna to be in that same category is like, yeah, I don't expect him to win against Bob. I think Bob Odenkirk will win, but just to be in that conversation, I'm just not used to seeing a Star Wars thing in there, and that just blows my mind. Is like, what year are we living in to where we're actually seeing the accolades? And again, I will be clear with this. Okay, the Golden Globes are like second tier compared to the Emmys, right? Emmys are the gold standard. If Diego Luna or anybody from Andor gets nominated in the Emmys, I will be very surprised. Um, But Golden Globes aren't bad either, and Golden Globes are better than any other like stupid like rewards show. So it's televised
Look,
and everything
you
else.
you and I you and I have never been nominated for an Emmy or a Golden Globe. So like,
Yeah.
if look, they at least have that over us. And I mean, look, I think Golden Globes. I mean, now that show has been taken, it's been. I mean, it's got some bad reputation to it here or there, but like it's still worth it. There's some talented people in the room. There's a lot of rich folks in that room that are talented.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not get it twisted. Just because someone's getting a Golden Globe nominee and not an Emmy, don't mean that they're trash. Because I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you, look at all the Oscar winners for the past, let's say, 15, 20 years. I guarantee you, they've all had the opportunity to do shows and whatever to get like a Golden Globe nomination, and then they gradually work their way up to like movies to get Oscar noms. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just. I mean, again, look at Will Smith. Will Smith was a TV actor back in the
Mm-hmm.
late 80s, early 90s. Guarantee you he was nominated for a Golden Globe or an Emmy at some point because of Fresh Prince.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that tells you something. And now he's an Oscar-winning actor. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like, come on.
I get it. Oh, I get it. And to the same token, kind of going off of that is the fact that you're looking at these lists and we see how far TV has come. Like TV
Yes,
would be
exactly.
for like the second tier actors or the actors just getting into acting. Maybe they would be doing TV, but now it's the other way around. Now you're getting such huge names going from movies to TV. Like Diego Luna is a huge actor in Mexico, right? Like
Yes,
for movies and all, and to see him like being able to invest his time as an actor that's very popular to do this long form type of content compared to just a quick
yes.
movie for 6 months or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. But you look at, you're right. TV has significantly changed over the last, say, 15 years since 2000. Let's say 15, say 2007. So the last 15 years, TV has significantly changed. I believe. No, we'll go back to 1999. Sopranos came out in 1999. That changed TV. Wire. What's the one show about politics? The West Wing.
Okay.
Obviously streaming has changed TV.
Yeah.
So like instead of writing 22 okay episodes, you can write 12 great episodes. So I think the streaming and the shorter number of episodes have helped the writers write more rich material, which then has brought in more actors or better,
Mm-hmm.
stronger actors to say, hey, this is
Mm-hmm.
really good. I want to perform this. I mean, remember the show True Detective on
Oh, I
HBO?
love that show. The first season, at least.
The first season, you have two great actors with Woody
Yep.
Harrelson, who's been nominated for plenty of awards, Matthew McConaughey, who I think
Mm-hmm.
just recently won an Oscar, 3, 4 years ago?
Yeah, I
You know what
think
I'm
so.
saying? So that tells you something. These guys were comedic drama type actors jumping into TV. You never
Mm-hmm.
saw that side
Yeah.
of that. Now it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you got these big time actors doing this type of show. It's awesome. The Rock, he does action movies, he does drama, but he does shows on HBO. He has a show currently on NBC. So TV is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking to the future then. I mean, yeah, we're just throwing a rock around, seeing what it lands on or whatever. But looking ahead, like we got Mandalorian season 3, we got Acolyte, we got Skeleton Crew, we have whatever the heck is gonna happen with the movies. So there's a lot of other content that's quickly coming on the way. Obviously, Andor season 2 is I'm sure it's going to be in the same conversations that are happening now with these awards. Season 2 is going to be just as great. Hopefully, it is. It's going to be a completely different setup with all these different timelines that are happening every couple of years. But anyway, what do you think out of all those things that I just listed off, and I might have missed something? What do you think could also garner a lot of accolades in the next couple of years, if you were to point at something coming?
I think, and honestly, the one I can think of because it was the first one would be Mando.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
just because I mean that show has such a strong following. If I had to go newer stuff, I think the Ahsoka show has the potential because Rosario Dawson,
Oh yeah.
the actress, like she's a good actress. Like she's a good, strong character actor too. I
Mm.
think she can bring a lot of emotion and and she can take a lot of risks with Ahsoka. I think with Filoni running that show, it being, and I'm sure we'll talk about this later with Hayden Christensen being in the show, like he can bring something out of him that may give him a nod at some, prestige. So
Hmm.
yeah, you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think the Ahsoka show has a shot.
yeah. I would say the Acolyte for me. I think just the direction of that show and it being from the perspective of the bad guy for a change. I think with Star Wars,
Yeah.
we're always so focused on the hero's journey, but we're gonna get something else, hopefully entirely different and fresh. I think that's what helped out Andor a lot with these awards and all is just the fact that hey, this is something we haven't really seen before. Right? This is not the Jedi, not the Sith, and it's grounded with these people. You're getting to learn about these people. I feel like the Acolyte. It's really going to be easy for it to stand out too because it's in another era with like building up a lot more world building with the lore, but it's also going to be a mystery thriller, right? I think a lot of times the mystery thrillers out there are the ones that really get people hooked. Like all that
Right.
espionage, the subterfuge, and just every week you're just the stakes are so high. That tends to really make a gripping story, and if it tends to have those cliffhanger esque type of experiences where it's like every week you just can't wait to watch the next one. I think that could be it. Yeah, the Acolyte, we've seen it. We were talking about the pictures, I think it was last week. Yeah, last week we were talking about the behind the scenes pictures. So that stuff is getting out there, ready to go. I mean, a lot of the stuff, I'm just going off of just instinct because we haven't seen trailers, we haven't seen anything. But if you're just looking at the creatives involved, then you have that David Lindelof movie, and everything that guy has touched has been nominated for stuff, right? And I think
Right.
it's Lucasfilm was looking to see like, okay, like say what you will about Ryan Johnson, but at least like they got somebody that was like thinking a lot outside of the box, probably too much out of the side outside the box for a lot of people. So they're maybe using the same judgment there of okay, let's get this David Lindelof guy who's been known to make like mind blowing revelations in his stuff, whether it be Watchmen, whether it be Lost, whether it be The Leftovers, right? That guy's got his hand in a lot of those
Right.
intellectual things that really twist and turn and keep the viewer engaged at all points. So I think that movie, whatever it might be, is going to possibly be the first Star Wars movie to maybe even be credited for something at the Oscars. I would love to see that a Star Wars name come up on the Oscars for best actor or some best supporting actor or something like that. In terms of like the good writing, I think we need to get more of that like into the characters. But I mean, with the series, it's easier to do that. You have way more time to really
Mhm.
flesh people out.
All right. No, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on, you said, writing and directing. I mean, look, I mean, I always shit on The Last Jedi because it's just not a good movie in my opinion. A good Star Wars movie, I guess I should say. But I mean, Ryan Johnson is a good storyteller. I've seen it with other stuff. I'm actually looking forward to seeing second Knives Out next week or next
Oh, it's
Wednesday
coming
comes
out
out,
next Wednesday?
the 23rd.
I haven't watched the first one.
Yeah. So the first one's I believe is on Amazon. The second one comes out on Netflix.
Oh,
Um, and I like that first one. First one was good. I've seen Looper. Love that movie.
yeah, Looper's great.
Um, like I've seen the Breaking Bad episode he's done. He's
Yeah.
multiple ones. He's really good. So like he's a good director. Does he fit for Star Wars? Not in my opinion. I think if you find a director like that who is a potential fit, then use him. I think directors. I mean, if you look at like for example, um, do you think Ben Affleck? Who's a really good director,
Oh yeah.
Oscar winning director. Would he be a good fit for Star Wars? I don't know,
Huh.
but I think he would at least take the time to try. I think Ron Howard is a great director. Was he a good director for Star Wars? I don't know. I like Solo, but I think that whole project was just so jacked up. He didn't really get a chance to put his
Yeah.
own
You're
stamp on
right.
it.
You can't go
I
off
think I
that.
think
Yeah.
exactly. So I think if you give him an opportunity to bring his own vision and stamp, I think he's great. Look at Deborah Chow. I think she's
Hmm.
a really good director. Was she the best fit for Obi-Wan? I don't know,
Yeah, I
but
don't know.
yeah, that's a chance you take. So
Hmm.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Steven Spielberg. There we go. We got gold with
Oh,
Steven
facts. Oh
Spielberg.
yeah, given. Okay, so if you had to come up with a list, Steven's on that list for sure because of the relationship, and we've seen him do it. I'll say Steven. I would say David Fincher.
Oh.
I would say low key. I would say old boy who did Jordan Peele.
Hmm.
Because I think he would bring a difference to Star Wars, but very much make it Star Wars. I think, oh my God, Bryce Dallas Howard,
Oh yeah. People have been wanting her to do a movie now.
give her a movie. That's at 4, and then I would say, hmm, who
Hmm.
might be my 5th one? I've already seen
Yeah.
JJ, and you know how I feel about him. That's a
He,
tough one for my 5th
yeah,
one.
I I'm not good when it comes to just naming directors off the bat. And the same with actors and actresses.
Yeah,
I'm not good under
but my
pressure
fifth,
when it
my,
comes.
my 5th one's tough because because low key I would want to see. You know what? I'm gonna say this one. This might piss some people off, but Zack Snyder. I like
Oh.
Zack Snyder.
Oh, do you know the story? He was actually writing a Star Wars movie.
Do you know about that?
He was writing a Star Wars movie, and now he took that idea, and he's gonna make a Netflix movie called Rebel Moon, and it was
Yes, I knew.
basically a Seven Samurai Star Wars movie before Disney bought out Lucasfilm, and it was being talked with George Lucas, and he was gonna make like a standalone movie that wasn't connected to like anything, and it was gonna be just like this action packed, as you would expect, just like slaughter fest or something, just going across this planet. And then he just like something it fell through, and he's like, "All right, well, I'll just use the same idea and just make a Netflix movie." And I think that's coming out next year, I want to say. But yeah, that'd be really
Yeah,
cool.
next year. Yeah, no, and yeah, I like him just because he reminds me of George Lucas a lot, where he was like a rebellion type of a director. You know, he's a visual storyteller. George Lucas is a visual storyteller.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I know this one for sure pissing people off. I think James Gunn would be a good Star Wars director.
oh yeah, you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and you could see a really good Star Wars movie in that, right? Just
Sure,
the
sure.
humor is just there, and everything else. I want to give a quick second to shout out the chat room. We have Sean Stretton. I've never seen you in a chat, so welcome to the Outer Rim Transmission. Thanks for joining us. He is saying Katie Sackhoff gets my vote for one of the actors that definitely deserves to win an award for. Yeah, we just got to see. I think season 3 could be her season, right? Because she's getting pitted against Din as the person who's going to be a lot more front and face, right? She's going to have a lot more front and center as animosity happens. We're going to get a lot more out of her. I think the problem with The Mandalorian is the episodes are so short and so focused on action that it's so hard to really get like these great, like long drawn out performances that sometimes can have the nuance that Andor has. It's hard to get that in Mando sometimes.
Well, just to feed off that, but I feel like one with Katie Sackhoff, she has that background with Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Oh, and that show was getting nominated for a lot of stuff at the time.
Okay.
For what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to your comment just now about the shortness, I guess, with the actors, Bill Burr could have easily been nominated for something like, was it season 2? Do you remember this episode where they had to go
Oh yeah.
camp or the Imperial camp?
Yeah.
Dude, the way he told the story about his people, his platoon dying or whatever it was, and the guy was making fun of him, that was easily a performance that could have been nominated because this is a comedian actor who gave us drama, and comedians tend to do well with drama because they just pull from a dark part of their life.
Oh.
You can tell like he put a lot into that. I'm thinking he convinced me like that's a hell of a performance right there.
Yeah, and we got Joel Davis, who's one of the paper canon masters out there. You guys can check out Ion Canon Podcast for all your latest on Star Wars comics, books, and everything on the printed page. But he he would love this because that's all about Operation Cinder. So you have Miggs Mayfield talking about how he was part of Operation Cinder, and that all went down. And I was like, I stood up in my seat. I was like, oh my gosh, they referenced Shattered Empire from 2015. Holy crap, what's happening here? But yeah, that was.
Here's the thing though. that like he just said, like that entire just that's a short performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's potential to tell a significant story.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Operation Cinder and Battlefront 2, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. A lot
yeah.
of
So like,
projects.
so I mean, honestly, this goes back to our Rogue Squadron talk. But imagine making that movie talk about Operation Cinder from the perspective of like who's that character? Iva Versio.
Ida Versio and her father,
Yeah,
Garrick Versio,
yeah,
who's like putting his whole planet to fire. Like that's crazy.
that's yeah. Just make that the Rogue Squadron movie, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be fire.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could see them having like a mop up of. I would definitely not to give too much away. Okay, Steven, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a little bit of peek around the corner at your episode. We talked about a Rogue Squadron movie having flashbacks to like post Return of the Jedi, but then the main part of the story
Mm,
being post. What is it? Post First Order. So you have like the
mm.
similarities of like both factions crumbling, and like you're trying to mop up, and then you have Wedge who's like, "Oh, I remember those days when we had to mop up the Empire, and it wasn't as easy as we thought it could be, and the Empire was holding on for years, and then the First Order is going to be holding on for years." Like we were thinking of like this cool like flashback and forward and thing like that. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a decent thing, I thought.
that works. I like that idea. That's a good pitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, now I'm not going to be able to run that through with Lucasfilm because it's out there. Damn it. But anyway, we have a couple of people chiming in as long as it's the chat. Joel Davis is saying, ask for the question of should Star Wars get more prestige stories? Yes, get all the stories. Make a Star Wars for the prestige crowd every now and then, right? It's like, yeah, give us the good old popcorn flicks that we all know and love from Star Wars. But hey, every once in a while, have one ready to go that's going to bring some of the other generations or some of the other crowd out, right? It's because, like, Star Wars is huge, but it could even be bigger if you draw in and you start looking at these other subsets of people, right? You can draw in more of this other crowd if you start to take away a lot of the, I wouldn't say nostalgia, but you take away a lot of those anchor points that are just so inherently Star Wars, and you get some other things in there. We have Aaron Daly chiming in. Would definitely love to see Bryce Dallas Howard direct a Star Wars film. Yeah, and a lot of people
That's
want that to happen.
easy, easy. No, I mean, it's easy. I mean, she's a good director. I mean, it's. I have not seen her work and say it's trash or not entertaining.
Yeah, and I'm still scratching my head for who would I think could be a good Quentin Tarantino. No, Star Wars could never
Nah,
do that.
nah, I got beef with him because he'll then say he'll be like, oh, Star Wars actors aren't really movie stars or whatever. I'm like, all right, my guy, like, come on,
Oh,
miss me with that. Like, it's just like, yeah, that's another. Come on, like that's stupidity.
yeah, that was just. I hope he like retracted that or something, because that's just ignorance,
It's
I
just
guess,
come
at that
on,
point.
yeah,
Um,
whatever.
but yeah, I mean, going back to the discussion topic here, just we want Star Wars to be the best it
Oh,
can be. Oh yeah, go ahead.
here's a director. Here's a director for you. I just thought of it. Low key, it's gonna shock you. I think George Clooney can be a Star Wars director.
Oh, okay.
George can direct. People forget that George is a director. He can make movies. So like I think George. George, look at all the movies that he starred in besides Batman and Robin.
Hmm.
Look at all the movies that he's starred in since, like, let's say 2001 till now. The movies that he's directed or produced since 2001 till now. Him and Soderbergh. What's his name? What's his first name?
Steven
Uh,
Soderbergh?
Soderbergh. Yeah, Steven Soderbergh. He's always connected with him in a lot of his movies. He'd be another good director for Star Wars. Like, I mean, because he did the movie Traffic, which was like about the cartel. Imagine
Ah,
Steven Soderbergh telling a Star Wars movie about the underground with like trafficking, something that's significantly serious that occurs, but we don't really see it enough in Star Wars.
ooh.
That'd be a hell of a Oscar type film to tell an underground Star Wars movie, pretty much 1313, but from the direction of like David Soderbergh,
Hmm.
like George Clooney producing or starring in it as like an old, like, let's say
That's
something you can think of, like he's like a gangster or like an imperial that's like
mhm.
up his own little something dope.
That's what you have to do, right? So Kathleen Kennedy, some people don't like her, some people love her, right? Whatever. But she might be onto something here because she had said she's not interested in doing trilogies right now. They're doing single films. And the things with trilogies are, as we said before, they become formulaic because that's how George Lucas kind of set them up, right? It's a poem, it rhymes. Like their trilogies kind of like that's the function of Star Wars is you kind of come back full circle and like deja vu sort of things start to happen. But when you do these single films, like you're saying, Milton, you have the chance to really get the director to go wild because you can't go very wild with trilogies because they got to have the classic hero's journey. They got to have all these things we expect from the prequels, the original trilogy sequel. Whereas you get these cool films, like you're saying, they can get these directors that might not do a trilogy or might not want to be connected with a trilogy. But if you tell them, hey, you could do this thing far off over here that doesn't really connect to anything, you don't have to like just be beholden to this certain plot line because it happens in a book over here or something. Like just do something over here. Just give it your own spin. We'll do the job of filling in the Star Wars stuff with it. Exactly what basically seemed like happened with Andor for the most part. Like you just make your own pocket of the galaxy, make your movie over there, and I think that could be the success that Star Wars needs to like again be something greater than it has been for the last 50
Right.
years at this point. You know.
I agree. I agree. No, 100%. I mean, I'm thinking of another director too, who was the guy that directed Dune. Dennis Duvernay, was it Duvernay?
Villeneuve or whatever. I always have a trouble.
Yeah, Villeneuve, yeah, the Canadian French director. Like he'd be another one if you gave him a single film in Star Wars. I mean, he pretty much did it with Dune.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a 2-part film or whatever it is.
Yep.
But like, give him a single film like that to tell a different perspective of Star Wars. Again, I like the Steven Soderbergh route. Then there's Villeneuve. I'm going to always jack his name up. Yeah, I mean, you have that potential. I mean, it's there, man. Like, so you can make Star Wars for Oscar season. You just got to find the right director, get the right writer to make something that's different, that rich and good storytelling that's actually going to challenge the audience.
Yes.
Challenge the audience to say, "Oh my God, that's a different perspective of Star Wars." Yes, it's very much Star Wars, like Andor was.
Yes.
But also challenge this too and seeing something different.
That's the key, Milton. It's good to challenge the audience, and I like how that perspective is. It's like, okay, there's going to be Star Wars movies. Maybe they're not for everybody. Maybe I wouldn't recommend my 8-year-old or whatever to go see this one, and that's fine. Like same thing with Andor. Like I don't expect 10-year-olds to really enjoy that show a whole lot. But hey, the good thing is with Lucasfilm is they're constantly churning out things. If you don't like Andor, well, wait 3 weeks and you'll be able to watch Bad Batch and you'll get a lot of entertainment and enjoyment out of that. So I think the main thing is you could have your prestige movies and like Joel Davis was saying in a chat, have your prestige movies, but then like maybe have the next year you have your big blockbuster popcorn movie like maybe Rogue Squadron, and then you have something very small over here. So I think as long as you have a steady flow of content, which has come to a complete stop at this point, hopefully they can right the ship, they can start piecing this overall plan together, and there's going to be something for everybody to enjoy. If you're a big fan of the Force, it's not going to go it's not going to be disappearing. We got a pronunciation from Son Stretton in the chat. Villeneuve. Okay, Denis Villeneuve.
I always jack it up. Yeah, I always jack it up, man. I try. I'm sorry.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. And there you go. That's why we have the chat room, because we can correct ourselves on the fly thanks to our awesome audience. And you guys can be part of the audience every single week here on the channel. Like I said, every Fridays we go live around 9 o'clock Eastern. We have just 2 episodes left for the remainder of the year coming up on the show. We're going to most likely just have a news story week catch up, maybe next week. But we definitely are going to get in a Star Wars year in 2022 discussion where we're going to just kind of take the biggest topics from the year, whether it be the shows or the news stories or the games or anything Star Wars. And we're going to talk about the highlights of 2022. So that'll be coming up the final week before we hit the new year. And then we'll hit the new year running with Bad Batch reviews every single week for however long that show's going to run into Mandalorian, and then that'll run into something in Jedi Survivor, and then we'll just never have shows where we're just not talking about some review. So a lot is coming on the horizon. Milton, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. A little bit of a shorter show tonight, but I think some of this discussion felt great. It always feels good to have an episode where we just kind of shoot the crap and have a discussion that we can really dive in deep to something that I've subconsciously have been thinking about. Like, yeah, Andor's been so good because it's so different because of this, and we need more like this. So it's cool to get those thoughts out, man. So thanks for joining me tonight.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate it like always. No, you're right, and again, I think the last thing I mentioned was about challenging the audience and giving a different perspective of Star Wars is essential. And people might say, "Well, Milton, you don't like The Last Jedi, so how can you say that?" I say that, yeah, I say that because yes, I know Ryan was a different storyteller, a different type of director for Star Wars. However, like you mentioned, Chris, that was part of the trilogy and the formulaic setting that needed to be done for those particular movies. I totally agree. If you give him an independent Star Wars story, it's great. I probably would love it. I'd probably be very rewatchable for me. I think because of that trilogy itself had a lot of legacy characters.
Mm-hmm.
We had expectations of where we thought the story was going to go. We had legend materials that they could have used to build the story of Star Wars moving forward. Because we felt the way he tried to push the envelope, where he's that type of person that, instead of just going slow and steady and just taking your time and just getting there, he wanted to be overzealous and just get there fast and just give extra, like you have a Bentley. You don't turn a Bentley into a convertible. It's a Bentley, man. You know what I'm saying, you have a Rolls Royce. You don't turn a Rolls Royce into a convertible. It's a Rolls Royce. You had that Star Wars trilogy. There's no need to make it extra. Just build upon the story and take it to that next destination. That's why I say, back to my original point, it's okay to challenge the audience, especially when those independent short stories or independent solo films. That's where you take those opportunities to build Star Wars out while you still have your linear line of the trilogy films.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So that's where I think you should challenge the audience, is when you're trying to expand it away from like the narrow view of like a specific trilogy.
Oh yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Hell, throw one of these things experimentally on Disney Plus, like a lower budgeted, like smaller scale story. I would love to see that, right? Just put something like, for instance, what they've been doing with the Marvel special editions. Like, I don't know if you've watched Werewolf by Night or the Guardians Holiday Special, but legit, they are the best things that happened in Phase 4 next to like Shang-Chi and Spider-Man. Like, those things were so damn good, and they were like 50 minutes long. Like, let's work in other formats in that regard. You don't need a 2 hour and 15-minute movie to really strike gold all the time either.
Well, here's the thing. Star Wars has already done that. I mean, look at Star Wars Visions, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look. That's not even, half that stuff's not even canon, correct? It's all independent stories, right? It's all independent stories through different types of filmmakers and studios. Okay, and we think that's some of the best storytelling in Star Wars, and I'm sure the chat would tell you that's some of the best Star Wars that we've seen in the last couple of years. And that challenged Star Wars fans. It gave us a different perspective from different types of studios and culture. That's the thing. I love that. Like it's capable of being done. Now we have to get it to the live action component of it. Okay, now let's put it on the mainstream of Star Wars. Do that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, there you go. So everybody out there in the chat listening to this after the fact, we'd love to hear your thoughts on how Star Wars can really push the boundaries of what we know and what we've been familiar with, and try to be unique. We've had, like Milton said, we've had glimpses in animation. Andor's a great step into live action. We're really looking forward to the future, and we'll hope you guys join us in the future for next week's show. Same time, same place, next week, Friday at 9 o'clock Eastern. We should be back with the full crew. Ben was disposed this week, but he will be back next week. So there you go. So Milton, where can the people find you? What are you going to be doing this week? Do you have a lot of last minute things you have to get before the holiday here?
Yeah, dude, I never shop like, weeks prior to Christmas. I get it the week before.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just all. Like, I buy the stuff and my sisters wrap it for me. I don't
Oh,
wrap gifts.
nice.
I'm not good at it, and they enjoy doing it. Um, so, anyways, no. So this weekend it's going to be me just hanging out, enjoying my weekend, the holiday break. I know I have a lot of stuff coming up, visiting family the next couple weeks because I know I'll probably miss one of the podcasts in the next
Hmm.
2 weeks. I just got to figure out which date it is. Um, no, I mean, if you guys want to follow me, I am on Twitter at Milton Weber, the number 7, as you see. Or on Instagram, I'm Milton7Weber. That's where I'm probably more active is Instagram because of my workout videos. I like to
Hmm.
post and just posting stuff about my life sometimes. So check me out both those platforms. I'm looking forward to the Eagles game this Sunday. We play Chicago, trying to go 13-1, best team in the league. Let's
Oh,
go.
oh
Yeah.
man. Oh man, yeah. So that's fantastic. You can follow Milton there for all the hype and fun, awesome videos, man. You're inspiring for a lot of people, man. I hope you know
No,
that.
I appreciate that. No, I've gotten a lot of messages from whether it's supportive messages or people asking for like my advice on trying to like get better in the gym or when it comes to diet and everything. And I tell anyone who's out there trying to make that lifestyle change, one, you have to do it for yourself. You can't do it for your girl or your boy or your pops or your kids. You gotta want to do it for you.
Hmm.
And eventually, and honestly, map everything out, break everything down. Break down your workouts, break down your diet. Like, how can you make changes in your diet? How can you make changes in your workout? It's slow. It's going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight. So,
Hmm.
if you really are serious about this, look yourself in the mirror, break everything down, do it for you. Take your time because it's going to be a process. It's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Hmm. Yep, you got to have that consistency. That's the main thing
For
too. You
sure,
got
for
to
sure.
be pretty regularly with this stuff 90% of the time, right? So,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
There you go. There's our fitness advice, free of charge for the week for you guys.
Yep,
So you guys could
yep, yep.
follow me as well. If you're already in the right place, if you're watching, youtube.com/Starrapter. If you're listening, that's how you can view the YouTube channel. As for me this week, going to be maybe jumping into more Galaxy Heroes thanks to some advice from Milton there off the top of the show. We'll see how long that lasts because it might be just a fade, but we'll see. As far as anything else, you can catch me playing some World of Warcraft maybe. Getting through that expansion right now. But other than that, uh, just having to get those last minute things, but I will be talking more about Willow on Twitter, which I feel like I'm like the only person talking about that, which is a bad thing. Like people go watch the show Willow. It's awesome. You're talking about Last Jedi subverting your expectations. This show will subvert your expectations. It's not as childish and as kiddish as you would think. There's people dying. There's big things, choices people are dealing with, darkness, everything else in that show. And it's made by the guy that did Solo, John Kasdan, the son of Larry Kasdan that wrote Empire Strikes Back. So this guy knows a thing about script writing, okay? So go ahead, that's your homework. If you're on the fence, go watch the movie, then start watching the show. It's about halfway through season 1 already, and that's what's holding me off until Bad Batch. But I thought that show would be just like, it's just something I'm just watching to just give me entertainment. No, I'm actually actively like looking forward to the show every Wednesday. I'm like, all right, here we go. Here's another episode. So there's my little Willow rant for the week. But that's gonna do it for us here. Like I said, Milton, Ben, and Milton will be back next week, and basically we got another week before Christmas. So I'll just say, hey, Merry Christmas, but I'll probably be saying it again next week anyway. So
Yep.
that's gonna do it for us, for Milton, for Chris, aka Starrapter. This was Outer Rim Transmission number 87. Have a good one, everybody. May the force be with you. Bye bye. All right.